Fitzpatrick takes the snap, drops back, lobs it back right corner. Decker! He's got it! Touchdown! Eric Decker scores! And the Jets have won it in overtime!
This is the Jet Take with Ben Blessington and Kyle Fahey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Jet Take. I'm your host, Ben Blessington. Joining me now, as always, is Mr. Money, Kyle Fahey. Kyle, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Ben. You know, the tank is full charge. We are full of ammo right now.
We are back. We after that Buffalo game, I think a lot of people were on the tank. Were discouraged, given that we could have the number one overall pick if the Jets had lost that game. But Saturday was literally the perfect game for really any Jets fan. Look, it was exactly what I wanted. It was essentially a shootout where Sam Darnold versus Deshaun Watson. All the young players look great, but in the end, coaching and veteran players caused us to lose a close game to one of the top teams in the AFC, and we move up in the draft order. So the Jets are now slated to pick third. That isn't locked in, though. I will say, people are acting like if we lose out, I mean, we're guaranteed at least the third spot. We are ahead of the Niners in strength of schedule. We're lower than them technically, which means they're a worse team by like 0.2. But if the Giants beat the Colts this weekend, if the Colts beat the Giants this weekend, which is like most likely going to happen, then I think they jump us. So, kind of scary. I know, rut-row for sure. But yeah, Saturday, I mean, it was perfect. I mean, that was the first time, really since Sam Darnold's thrown that interception in Buffalo, he almost seems like a completely different quarterback. Because at the beginning of the season, it was one of those things where there was a lot of promise and a lot of hope, and we would see flashes of brilliance from him where he would, have an amazing pass or even a game, but it was all about consistency, and that's kind of always been the case with rookie quarterbacks. But yeah, I mean, you saw it on Saturday. He carried that team. He carried the team at the end of the Buffalo game, and he carried this team again against Houston. I mean, he just made play after play, was consistent, trusted his arm, and yeah, he made risky throws, but he completed them, and it was honestly one of the best Jets performances from a QB that I've seen in a while, and I don't know if that's just because we've just had a dearth of quarterbacks or good quarterback play, but yeah, he looked fantastic. Kyle, your thoughts on Sam Darnold's performance?
Yeah, I think Sam is, I guess putting the doubters, including myself, to a little bit of ease or rest, whichever side they may be on. I will say that for the most part this season, I haven't been incredibly impressed with, Sam from time to time. Obviously, I knew he was going to have some rookie mistakes in there. Then the injury's gone away. And right now, it looks like Sam is starting to, I guess, hit his groove, as you would say, start to get over that little bit of a rookie bump. Well, not a little bit of a rookie bump, a large rookie bump that most rookie quarterbacks in the NFL expect. And for basically 2 games in a row now, Sam has done what he has been asked and exceeded expectations in the Houston game for sure. I mean, Sam carried this team in the Houston game. He was the best player on the field, and I will give credit to Jeremy Bates, who I really do not respect as an offensive coordinator in the NFL when it comes to creativity and just understanding your players. He's pretty much piss poor. He is as bad as you can get for somebody to help a rookie quarterback. It seems that Robbie Anderson is starting to get more targets, manufactured targets, and even when they're not manufactured, Sam is trusting him on the move. We've seen back-to-back weeks where Sam has, on the run, made really nice, accurate throws to Robbie Anderson for touchdowns. And that's just trusting your receiver, getting that chemistry down. That's something that the greats have really well. They'll take any receiver, build a nice chemistry with them, know exactly where they're going to be and when, and, get the throw in there. And that, that's wonderful to see from Sam. So I'm very happy with Sam these past couple weeks.
Yeah, that's one of the things I tweeted out was, yeah, I mean, look, Bates has done a pretty, as you said, a piss poor job this season, with creativity and with utilizing I guess he has limited talent, but the talent that he does have, yeah, I mean, I was not impressed at all with Jeremy Bates as an offensive coordinator, but I'll give him credit. I mean, yeah, he finally took the training wheels off of Sam Darnold, and he was more creative with his play calling. The play calling seemed more similar to, and I don't know if it was just because it was working better, but kind of what they did in week 1. And I know they opened it up with a big rushing attack in week 1, but in the passing plays specifically, kind of the creativity of the routes and whatnot, it just felt like the Jets were running a preseason offense in the middle of the season. But he took the training wheels off. I mean, I think that's evident by Again, let me pause the Sam Darnold conversation just to mention how Todd Bowles easily should have challenged that Trenton Cannon third and 1 yard run, or at 3rd and 1 run where he clearly gets it, but he gets a bad spot. I mean, first of all, Todd Bowles has people upstairs that can see those TVs. So I don't know if it's on Bowles for not listening to them, or they weren't saying it. Either way, it was on the Jumbotron, so he saw it there. Then Bill O'Brien calls a timeout, so gives him extra time to challenge it. But I like Bowles going for it. I guess that's the one positive in that. But again, Bowles just has a fireable offense each week. But the training wheels have been taken off, and that's evident by that play call. How many 4th and 1 passing plays, out of the shotgun empty backfield have we seen? Never. I mean, so they out route, curl route, whatever you want to call it, to Robbie Anderson, and got the first. They're really developing a nice chemistry, Sam and Robbie, these past 2 weeks. I think that was kind of, we talked about this actually in our week 1 podcast. We had said, and it's really exactly what happened, which is I think Anun was going to have a lot of success early on in the season, which was true. And then I think that Robbie, as the season goes on, as we get towards those November, December games, is really going to be start to get back to where he was in 2017. But we both said, don't expect to see the Robbie Anderson that we saw in 2017 and for the first half of the season. Because, look, he's not going to have the chemistry with Sam Darnold. Darnold, as we saw in the preseason, wasn't really going downfield that much. That's Robbie's strong suit. You saw it first, throw of the game for Darnold. He threw a 50-yard bomb, hit Robbie right in the hands, and Robbie dropped it. But they just have such a nice chemistry now, and that's probably the thing I was most excited. His chemistry with Robbie, and then not only him but Chris Herndon. They really established a nice chemistry there, and I think that's something you can build on. It's a bummer about Anunwa this season. I mean, does he only have 1 touchdown this year? Does he have another one? He might only have one touchdown.
Did he have one in the Jacksonville game?
I don't think so. He had a great play in that game where he broke a bunch of tackles, but I think he might. Let me double check this. I know he had the touchdown week 1, but the thing with Anunwa is he's just such a. Hold on, let me see. Let's look at these stats. Yeah, he only has 1 touchdown this year. The thing with Anunwa is he's a very interesting player and a dynamic player in the sense that the Jets don't really have anybody like him. There's not many guys like him in the NFL, but so far, I don't mean to say him and Marcus May are quite injury prone at this point. I don't know if that's a cause for concern. Maybe it's just the way Anunwa plays. He's so physical. But when in 2016, I was talking about him more as a number 1 wide receiver, number 2 a starting big time wide receiver for the Jets. I'm not saying he was Julio Jones, but I still thought he was going to be a leading contributor. I think he's proving now that he's more kind of best used in doses, maybe, or at least given the injury. If he's healthy, maybe this isn't true, but he kind of almost seems like he's a Swiss Army knife type player. What are your thoughts on kind of Anunwa and his is it just Bates and his lack of creativity and not feeding as many touches as he deserves, or do you think Anunwa's just going to be that guy who's not can't really stay healthy, is never going to be your Calvin Johnson type wide receiver? He's more just going to be the guy who's H-back type receiver that we saw in 2015, but a highly productive one in that. I'm not crapping on Anunwa here, but your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I agree. I think Swiss Army knife. I guess not so much anymore. Definitely in 2015 with Chan Gailey, who seems to be the last, in my eyes, the best Jets coordinator in a very long time.
Yeah, John Morton was actually not too bad the first half of that season of 2017, but go on.
I mean,
we were all calling for Chan Gailey's head at the end of that season. Let's not lie.
What?
At the end of 2016, are you kidding me?
He retired.
Yeah, and we're going to fire him anyways. Do you not remember this?
We had a fire retirement.
Kyle, I'm telling you with 100% certainty that there was a large contingent of Jets fans that were very unhappy with Chan Gailey in 2016. I guarantee you, I can find fire Chan Gailey tweets in our timeline from both me and you.
I don't think you'll
go on with the Anunwa point.
Okay, but anyway, I think what I've always said about Quincy is that he is a very solid number 2 wide receiver who, at this point in his career, I think we can say he struggles with injuries. It seems that he misses 5 or 6 games per year. Just seems that that's always the case with him, or it feels like it. And I will say that, Jeremy Bates, to his credit, tried to get Quincy Newman the ball. Now, did I like the way he was trying to get him the ball? No, because I don't think screens really work in the NFL unless you have a Tyreek Hill, because guys are pretty fast. They can sniff out a screen. It's rare that they really break off those 50-yard runs anymore. And, that's just a product of Bates's, I guess, simplicity on offense, or simpleton mind, I guess would be a better way to put it. So I do think Quincy has kind of digressed, and I do think how he is being used, and obviously a rookie quarterback who at one point seemed like Quincy was his only target this year, has turned into Quincy missing games and then Sam not throwing to him and finding new people to throw to with Robbie and Hearn, as we were talking about earlier. So I think Quincy will stick around, probably be our number 2 receiver. We need to go acquire a number 1 receiver. There's a lot to be worked on this team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see in the offseason. I mean, I don't know how necessarily the Jets are going to go about acquiring a number 1 wide receiver. Maybe it's most likely through the draft. Maybe they can find a hidden gem in free agency, a guy who can kind of really come around. More likely, it might be through the trade market. People have been floating around AJ Green, although he's 30 years old. Potentially, with the Bengals blowing things up, you might be able to acquire him for a pick. Also, Kyle, just a random side note, I searched it up on our Twitter. I'll give you credit though, because this wasn't. Oh, never mind. This was. So you tweeted this after. I think you tweeted this. It is on the Jet Take account, but I don't remember tweeting this. It was after the 2016 season. You said, "Farewell, Chan. Your red zone play calling won't be missed." And it's the GIF of, in 2015, the Jets-Bills colorblind game where the 4th down call to Kellen Davis or whatever, where him and Eric Decker run to the same place.
Yeah, horrible call.
So I think Chan Gailey was getting calls for firing. But anyways, back to the whole Quincy Nunez thing. Yeah, I think he is. And when I say gadget player or role player, I'm not even trying to insult him. I'm just saying that I think Jets fans had huge expectations for him as this number 1 baby Brandon Marshall, and he's just not that. But it can be a really, really effective player, and a player that if the Jets do become a good playoff team, that other fans are going to watch and be like, dang, that number 81 is a really cool, talented player, but he's not going to be representing the Jets in the Pro Bowl, in my mind at least. But steering things kind of back towards Saturday's game, I mean, Sam looked terrific, carried the team. I'm excited about that. I love his chemistry with Herndon and Anderson. A few other things. Actually, let's go ahead and get to the callers now. I think we kind of we'll dive into some questions here, and then carry out our caller podcast. We haven't done one of these in a while. We haven't done a podcast in a while. I think we probably are the most inconsistent Jets podcast out there. But without further ado, I guess we'll go to the callers and go through some of these questions. Kyle, any last things before we open up the phone lines?
Nope. Go ahead.
as you munch on a snack. All right. Well, we'll start with, I guess, we'll go to Tyler, a good friend of the podcast. Hasn't called in a while. But Tyler, how you doing, man? What's on your mind?
Hey, Ben. How you doing?
What's good? What's on your mind, Tyler?
I want to get your thoughts on this head coaching position. On who do you guys want to hire?
Yeah, great question, Tyler. That was kind of what we were going to talk about a little bit later in the podcast, but I think this is something that a lot of Jets fans are thinking of, so it's a good time to bring it up. Well, Kyle, I'll defer to you a little bit. I'll give you a list of guys that I wrote down that I've heard their names floated around, or just guys that are intriguing to me, just to jog everybody's memory. So Mike McCarthy seems like the favorite at this point. Doesn't mean it'll happen. Doug Marrone was the favorite.
I don't think it'll happen.
We'll see. Hold on, Tyler. Let me give these names to Kyle. We'll get his thoughts. We'll get my thoughts, and then Tyler, I want your thoughts on this. But
okay.
Okay,
go.
Yeah. So here are the names. So Mike McCarthy, former Green Bay Packers coach, won a Super Bowl. He has a good record as a coach. Won numerous big playoff games. And has been a head coach in this league for years. I guess the pro and con with him, or the pro with him, is that you hope he has an Andy Reid resurgence in the sense that, look, he was a successful coach. Obviously, he's fallen off a little bit in the past few years. Maybe a reboot. He can use his experience and have an Andy Reid few years with the Jets. The next option seems less likely with every week that the Ravens keep winning, but John Harbaugh seems like he would be the favorite if the Ravens let him go. while the Jets are cheering, for some teams to win for the betterment of the tank, I guess the team that I'm cheering the most against at this moment, more so than the Patriots or anything like that, is the Ravens. I think if they can lose these last 2 games, miss the playoffs, I think there's a chance that John Harbaugh gets fired if it's done in a disruptive fashion, I guess. Same thing as McCarthy, but even better. Just a great CEO. Is going to be a leader for this team, has also won big playoff games and a Super Bowl winner. I guess the concern with both of these guys, actually, is their staffs. Harbaugh has been iffy on hiring offensive coordinators. Marty Morningweg, I remember him, is his coordinator currently in Baltimore. And then, McCarthy's seemingly just hiring his buddies and whatnot. However, Harbaugh can probably get the best overall coaching staff out of any of these guys. When Manish Mehta was on our podcast a few weeks ago, he kind of talked about how, college coaches are intriguing, but the thing that people don't really talk about is their inability to build a staff. When you have a guy like Harbaugh or McCarthy who's been in the league for decades at this point, they've been networking, they know guys, they have people that have worked for them before, so they're going to have the opportunity to kind of reset, take everybody they know and build their perfect staff. I'll run through these last ones faster. Those 2 just seem like the names that pop out more. Mike Shanahan was floated out recently this week. I don't think that's going to happen. Former coach, Super Bowl winning coach, 2 decades ago, but has been pretty trashed the last decade and been out of football for at least 5 years. Eric Bieniemy for the Chiefs. Interesting with him, offensive coordinator for one of the league's most dynamic offenses, but then it is Andy Reid's offense. He's calling the plays. However, Bieniemy does get credit for designing the plays and whatnot. And seeing creative play design like that is intriguing. But again, a guy who hasn't run a team or anything like that. All right, a little faster now. Dan Campbell, personally, has worked his way up the ladder for me. He's one of my favorite candidates at this moment. I know. We're trying to find the next young offensive coordinator. Well, Dan Campbell is on the offensive staff of one of the most prolific, I guess, offenses in the league with the New Orleans Saints. He has interim head coaching experience with the Dolphins, where he coached them for pretty much a full season. He's a guy who's really respected among league circles, big motivator. The team is not going to be sloppy, not going to be lazy. When Rich Cimini writes an article talking about a culture change is needed and whatnot, Dan Campbell seems like they're really the perfect guy. Zach Taylor, quarterback coach for the Rams. I'm iffy on him, but you could bring his brother Press Taylor in as offensive coordinator. Pete Carmichael Jr., the offensive coordinator for the Saints. Matt Rule, head coach at Baylor. Matt Campbell, head coach at Iowa State. And you even throw in Peterson from Washington. So those are just a few names there that have floated out. Those are kind of my thoughts on it. But Kyle, I want your thoughts, your Jet take on who the Jets coach would be in 2019.
Ooh, there you go. I think probably number 1 on my list, got to be John Harbaugh. I do think he will leave Baltimore. This is just a mutual thing. I don't think it has anything to do with winning at this point. There's a new general manager coming in. Sometimes people just drift apart. Obviously, Harbaugh and Ozzie Newsome, and I guess Ozzie Newsome in general, has done a phenomenal job in his tenure. I think 32 years is, I think,
something crazy like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost impossible in today's modern NFL. And he's won 2 Super Bowls in that time, I think, off the top of my head, 2001 and then 2011. So, fairly successful. Harbaugh was around for one of those. Harbaugh, I think, is a very good NFL head coach, top 10 NFL head coach in my mind, who is a good head coach, not a great offensive coordinator. He gets the most out of his guys, and I think if we were to hire him, he has to bring in an offensive coordinator that can get the job done, because his offenses have been known as, bland, bulimic, and I don't think that's really something that we're looking for right now with your rookie quarterback. Now, I do think John, as a leader and as a head coach, is perfect. You can really not go wrong with anything he does. He's a winner. He's proven he can win in the playoffs. He's proven he can beat Tom Brady. He's proven he can beat Bill Belichick. He checks a lot of boxes. It's just a matter of him being able to bring in an offensive coordinator. And I love the Gary Kubiak connection. I think Gary Kubiak is one of the better offensive minds, in the NFL today. Unfortunately, the, actual health scares, unlike Urban Meyer, that he is facing are real. And I doubt that he's going to leave the Denver, or I guess the state of Colorado, that area, because it is very hard to, I guess, just, move doctors, get up and move your family. He stayed in Denver, as somebody in their front office for a reason. I think he loves the Denver Broncos. I think, obviously when he won the Super Bowl, it was very close to him, and it meant a lot to him, and he didn't want to leave, but he kind of had to for his own health. So I doubt Gary Kubiak is going to leave the Denver area. And I think if John Harbaugh is going to go anywhere, I think the Jets are probably the best option for him, as far as an attraction, lots of money, young quarterback, Jamal Adams on defense. I mean, Jamal Adams alone, if you just sit in a room with him and, as a coach, you don't want to, sign me up for this team, there's something wrong with you. And then obviously looking at what Sam has done so far and what he can do in the future, it's got to be exciting. So I do think the Jets are probably the number one, open spot right now, just considering all we have going for us. And you could probably convince the owners to get yourself your own GM if you want to. So I think there's a good chance Harbaugh comes here. I do think he will leave Baltimore. It's just a matter of him finding an offensive coordinator. I know I've been rambling a bit, but in regards to the other people you named, Mike McCarthy, I guess I would be upset to a point because I know what he's bringing to the table. I know that he's wasted most of Aaron Rodgers' career. I know that, his GM has not been the best, or not. I don't even think he's a GM. Ted Thompson, I think he's the president of operations officially. The guy in charge of drafting, not really great at his job, if I'm going to be honest. The Packers, I think they've done a good job coaching up the players that they have. Randall Cobb, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones. The offensive line is always full of, those, nice guys that they can plug in or veterans that they've had forever. And then the defense has been a problem for the longest time. They continue to lose talent and not bring it back. So I do think to a point that McCartney has been a victim of just poor, balance and money management and retaining your homegrown talent, and at the same time understand that he as a coach has not done a phenomenal job with the greatest quarterback of all time, being there most of the time. I think in exception to 19 games or something, I think he missed a whole season and a couple games here and there. So, some of the other guys you named, Campbell from Iowa State, it's going to take a lot of money to buy him out. I don't know if the Johnsons are ready to do that. I also don't think Campbell wants to leave college right now. Baylor coach Matt Rule, I think he's just getting started there. Really college is where a lot of coaches want to be. It's, easy in college. I mean, you can go win 10 games. Yeah. I mean, it's just an ideal place to be, coaching in college. Yeah, you get more time
and more control over personnel. So, yeah, you're definitely right. And big money.
Yeah, it's huge money. And, if you win one national championship, your job is secured for, is basically as long as you want it, depending on the program.
And then you can get jobs wherever you want. So
yeah, it's a great place, and I don't think a lot of college coaches want to or are ready to jump to the NFL. So my personal opinion, long story short, is John Harbaugh, and I think he actually will be the Jets head coach.
Yeah, really quickly before we go to Tyler, get his thoughts on this. Do you have any thoughts on Dan Campbell, who was a guy that I was iffy at first about? I know he's the tight ends coach for the Saints, and people are iffy about that. People are iffy. Was like, is he really designing the plays? Whatever. But he's a guy that is studied under Bill Parcells and has witnessed Sean Payton, game plan and design an offense for 3 years. Has experience as a head coach and can get anybody to run through a brick wall through him, and certainly would fix a lot of the dysfunction in the Jets locker room, and could, by all intents and purposes, or from all sources, could certainly build a good staff, maybe, target quarterback coach Joe Lombardi as the offensive coordinator or something like that. Do you have any thoughts on or even the other option that I found was when he was an interim coach of the Dolphins, his quarterback coach was Zach Taylor. If Zach Taylor doesn't get a head coaching job, I wonder if he would take an offensive coordinator position, similar to Matt LaFleur, who is actually another guy I forgot to leave on there, to put on there. I mean, would he take an offensive coordinator job to have more, autonomy? But your thoughts on Dan Campbell, or are you intrigued at all or no?
I'm intrigued by Pete Carmichael just a little bit. I like the Sean Payton coaching tree. I like the creativity they have on that offense with, the dual running backs. Well, they had the dual running backs. Ingram was suspended, right?
I think so, at the beginning of the year, yeah.
Yeah, but, I think they've done a good job. You just look at, I forget the kid's name. He used to be the quarterback at BYU, Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
What they've done with Taysom Hill, I mean, obviously I think Sean Payton is the big brains of this operation, but there has to be some sort of credit to the offensive coordinator who has been there for, I think since the Super Bowl run, the year before the Super Bowl run. He's been there for a long time.
He became the offensive coordinator in 2009 and then was the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl team and thereon.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's been fairly successful, and obviously Drew Brees and the likes of, Jimmy Graham along the way have definitely helped. But, the Saints have always had, a good offense, and I think, he's sort of responsible for that. That's a guy you look for.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset with the Pete Carmichael hire at all. But, Tyler, your thoughts on all these guys we talked about or any other candidates?
I'm going to give you my top three.
All right.
It's pretty similar to Kyle's.
Okay.
My first target is John Harbaugh.
Yep.
He's a proven head coach, and if we can get him a good offensive coordinator, we'll probably have success. My second target is John DeFilippo. Oh, I hope I say that right.
The fired
offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Vikings offensive coordinator, Eagles quarterback.
No more.
Okay. And
meaning he was fired, not no more as in stop. But okay, that was just weird.
I think
great podcast, everybody. This is what 3 weeks has done. Tyler. Your third option.
Okay, my third option is Matt LaFleur.
All right.
Any thoughts on him? Or?
Yeah, I thought about him.
No, do you have any thoughts on him?
Matt LaFleur.
I was not wondering if you were thinking about him, but it's good to know.
I thought about him. I think he'll be a pretty decent coach.
All right, yeah.
He's offensive-minded.
Yeah, for sure. My thing with LaFleur is, he's intriguing, coming from Sean McVay, who everybody's looking for the next McVay, the next young stud offensive genius. I'm intrigued for sure. I think he just needs a little bit more seasoning. I don't think he's necessarily done yet. I think maybe another year in Tennessee, maybe another year. He's like
a white man's potato salad.
Perfect, Kyle. He's as the season's gotten on, he's gotten better, but he got off to a little bit of a rough start as an offense coordinator. He's only been an offense coordinator for 15 games, or 14 games, excuse me. So, yeah, I'd bring him in for an interview certainly. Don't leave no stone unturned, but I don't necessarily know if he's ready to be a head coach yet. I think he's an intriguing candidate. As far as DeFilippo, the reason we had a little awkward exchange there because I was trying to cut in and talk about. Well, look, I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job, because he was just fired by the Vikings as their offense coordinator, and I don't think you've ever seen somebody get demoted and then get promoted by another team like that, in that fashion. I'd be interested in bringing him in potentially as an offensive coordinator. I know it didn't go too well with the Vikings this year, but maybe given another chance. I don't think his coaching career is over, is what I'm saying. Maybe a new scenario could be better for him. So if we hired a guy like Dan Campbell, Mike McCarthy, John Harbaugh, somebody like that, and you wanted a guy to run the offense, maybe I'd bring him in for an interview as an offensive coordinator, but I don't think he's a head coach material. Was a quarterback coach for the Eagles and then had half a season as the Vikings offensive coordinator and got fired. So I don't think he's head coaching material yet. But I agree with you. John Harbaugh seems like the clear-cut guy we want. We want a guy who can fix the locker room, can change the culture. The only concern with him is one, is he going to be available? And two, also, people aren't really talking about this, is he going to want the Jets job? I'm not saying the Jets job is unattractive. I know that they're in New York. Well, that might be a con, really, honestly, with all the attention, the bright light on you. But I know for him, he gets Sam Darnold, and it's a young team. There's a lot of cap space, a top pick. I know it's an attractive option, but I'm saying, you sure he wouldn't want to just turn and go pair up with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay or go be with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland or something? There are potentially more attractive head coaching positions than the Jets right now. So it's not even like if Harbaugh gets
about
fired.
The outside. Not all about attraction, right? There's also the inside.
You would know.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things where that was kind of I didn't mean
tough. Wow.
That knife cut deep. With Harbaugh, I just think okay. But with Harbaugh, it's those things where if he gets free and he wants to come here, the only question with him then becomes who's the offensive coordinator, who's going to run the offense. But I think a lot of coaches would be interested in teaming up with John Harbaugh. All right, Tyler, before we let you go, any last thoughts on this Sunday's game against the Packers? Who do you think's going to win?
Well,
My
the
God.
Packers are on the road, and I heard they're like 0-7, so I think the Jets are going to win.
Not good for the tank.
Not good.
Yeah, it's a
it's
scary
not good
game
for
for the
the
tank,
tank.
Tyler. I agree.
It's
I
like
could
a
definitely see the Jets
4-12,
winning.
5-11 season for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tyler,
score
thank you.
prediction?
Oh yeah. All right. This is terrific podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler, what's your score prediction?
I'm going to go 27-20, Packers.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Tyler.
All right.
That was Tyler. Yeah, I love Tyler, but the awkward. I promise I'm not that awkward of a human. It's just he'll pause, and so I think he's done. So I interject, and then he starts talking exactly when I start talking.
Ben, I think we just had the greatest moment in Jet Take history.
Yeah, I know. What are your thoughts on him? I've been thinking about.
Tell me your thoughts on him. Yeah, I've been thinking about him.
It was odd. The chemistry Tyler and I have is like. I'm thinking of a good Jets reference here. Hold on, let it matriculate. Chemistry is like Tim Tebow and Mark Sanchez.
Like Paulie and Geno Smith.
Boom, better than mine. I love it.
Yeah.
Comedic genius, Kyle Fahey, everybody. Yeah, that was poor podcasting. We apologize, but yeah, he did float out a solid, or at least another name we hadn't really brought up was Matt LaFleur as a head coach and target. Kyle, do you have any thoughts on him coming from the McVay tree?
He's way too. I don't want to say young. I want to say inexperienced. You know, I would like the people I'm going to hire to at least have 2 or 3 years of experience. I think LaFleur's been there for 16 games now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 14, or he'll be there for 16 by the time he gets hired, if he gets hired this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting.
No.
But we going to have a Tyler moment again, or
I don't know. Are we? Are we?
Do you want to take this outside?
Yeah. I'll take this inside.
I'll go if you want to go.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what we're doing. All right, let's keep moving. But again, thanks for Tyler for calling in. Let's talk about Elijah McGuire. Actually, I was looking through the topics and I wanted to find something a little different than Sam Darnold, the coaching and whatnot. Your thoughts on him and how he's played the last two games as essentially the Jets' lead running back. Do you think he's people were floating around as we got as we came into the Texans game? Well, if it plays well enough, why even pay Le'Veon Bell? You want to just talk about the difference, I guess, in or why the Jets should be signing Le'Veon Bell and using their cap space in that way, and the difference between him and Elijah McGuire?
The difference between him and Elijah McGuire is that Le'Veon Bell's a Hall of Famer. If he plays another 5 or 6 years like he has, he's on track to be a Hall of Famer. And Elijah McGuire is a very nice late-round pick who is a good complementary running back who has the ability to be an average to good NFL starter. There's a huge difference there, all right? And I think people need to understand that. It's actually funny. I was looking at a calendar today. It was a Jets calendar for the 2019 season, right? Guess who was on there? Ready?
A cheerleader?
No, it wasn't. No, it was like players on
clad women.
All right, Ben. It's their jobs, okay? And you making
Alexis,
little
Texas.
Lana Road.
I don't know what type of calendar you're looking at.
No. This is the players on it, Ben. I don't really swing that way, so I guess some people might be intrigued by it, but
you're intrigued by what? What did you just say?
Never mind.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing. Yeah, okay. I heard what you said. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So Ardarius Stewart was on there, and Elijah McGuire was on there with the number 35, which is what he wore in the preseason, I guess, 2 years ago.
Ratchet calendar.
Yeah, this was an official NFL calendar. They had one for every team.
Yeah, it's like a flea market. Yeah, was that made in...
No.
Yeah, not... Leonard Williams has 62 on?
No, he had 92 on, but he was on there. They had Robbie Anderson twice. And they had Sam Darnold on there, so they had to have like a preseason photo from him.
Wait. Oh, my God, that's horrible. All right, continue anyways.
Yeah, they did a horrible job. But anyway, obviously we should sign Le'Veon Bell, or at least make an effort, make a very strong effort. And Elijah McGuire, like I said, is a very good complimentary back who's been doing, a good job with the time he's been given. And unfortunately, he has only been given time because Isaiah Crowell, shit the bed, to make a little pun there. And Bilal Powell, his neck is not bueno right now. So it's time for Elijah to step up.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that, McGuire, I think, is going to be – I think he is this generation's Bilal Powell. I think he's going to be best used in doses.
It's so hurtful.
Well, no. I think he's best used in doses. He's going to be able to. He might be a guy who can provide a late season push like Bilal did in 2015, or a guy who can help Sam out in the passing game, going to catch, can assist the whatever running backs are there. But I don't think he's ever going to be the lead guy. I'm comfortable with him stepping up as the lead guy in an injury, but I don't think he's the guy you want to run into. But look, as a 6th-round pick, I give Matt credit for that. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I think Le'Veon Bell is a no-brainer at this point. I think that, and he's proven this year that he will go where the money is. He knows his value, so I think if the Jets, pay a pretty penny, they can get him. I think the Jets pretty much can get him if they want him, essentially. So I think they definitely should. He'd be. I can't really think of many better players in the NFL for Sam Darnold than Le'Veon Bell. Let's talk about a few of the needs, though. The other needs that the Jets got to address this offseason. I wrote down kind of what I was thinking, that everything the Jets need to address this offseason. So I put left tackle. Now, I think the Jets will keep Kelvin Beachum, and I could easily see a scenario where Kelvin Beachum even is the starter. I put left tackle in there because I think Jonah Williams is right now seems like probably the most likely pick for the Jets. I'm not saying that obviously it's December. I could totally see, Clelin Ferrell or Josh Allen, or, if they want to.
We take Clelin Ferrell, I'm going to be pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, me too. Or Quinnen Williams, I'd be equally as mad, even though I think he's going to be a terrific player. Just can't take another defensive lineman, especially when you hear this list, because it's really entirely offense. I think that's the other thing with the Jets is their defense is not that. Nice voice crack there. The defense is not that far from being a great defense. I think they're missing an edge rusher and another corner, and I think they're there. But even how it is right now, I think their defense is better than a lot of playoff teams. But I'm saying to being where the Bears are at, I think we needed to have a Khalil Mack and maybe another corner. Yeah. But listen to these needs here. Mainly entirely offense, so that's why I think the Jets need to go. But yeah, left tackle. I think the Jets. I can see the Jets, drafting Jonah Williams, keeping Kelvin Beachum as the backup, and or could be the right tackle. Friend of the podcast, Kelvin Beachum, did mention that he has played both left and right. If Brandon Shell is hurt to start the season, we don't really know that situation. With linemen, I feel like they come back from ACL injury sooner since there's not as much, quick, cutting lateral movement. So I don't think Brandon Shell will miss the start of next season, but Scott Mason of the Play Like a Jet podcast have floated that out. We need a left guard. James Carpenter is pretty terrible. He was a good max signing for the first 2 years. The last 2 haven't been as good. Need a new center. That's pretty evident that Spencer Long has. Jonathan Harrison's done a solid job, and I would keep him for sure as the backup. Spencer Long, I would probably cut bait with. It depends what the money is. If the money is going to be not really worth cutting him, and especially the Jets cap situation, I could see us keeping Spencer Long as a backup center, backup guard. You can never hurt to have too much depth in the offensive line. Number 1 wide receiver. I think that's the biggest thing. If they can get Sam a number 1 wide receiver, think of a guy like AJ Green, or even in the draft. If the Jets draft well, or could trade down and go after N'Keal Harry or any of those top wide receivers, it is a good year, kind of the top end of it. I'm interested in those first round, second round wide receivers. So they could go after a guy like there. They need a slot receiver. I feel like after Jermaine Kearse. I think that Anunwa is going to be the main kind of slot receiver. Anderson's going to be the over-the-top number 2 option, and then they have a number 1 receiver. But I think they need that kind of that 4th safe pair of hands that we all thought Jermaine Kearse was. And if Jermaine Kearse was playing like he did last year, I'd be perfectly fine saying, yeah, Jermaine Kearse on to the next year. We wouldn't need this. But Jermaine Kearse made no effort this entire season, really. Or
what we're saying to Jermaine Kearse?
Bye, bitch.
No, thank you. Next.
Damn it, that was so obvious, and I just couldn't think of it. I knew you were going somewhere like that, but I just couldn't think of the word or the words. I'm disappointed that we haven't seen like Deontay Burnett, because he's a guy that I think could also play that role of the slot receiver, safe pair of hands type of guy. Hopefully he plays more of these last 2 games. Need a running back. I don't think Isaiah Crowell is it. Again, you could probably keep him because the Jets have so much money that, and I don't know what the price is going to be to cut him versus keeping him. So Isaiah Crowell and Elijah McGuire will probably be back. I like Trenton Cannon as the speedster. Elijah McGuire is the 3rd down guy. Isaiah Crowell, I guess he's a power back. He's not Chris Ivory. I think people get that confused because of the dreads. But he's not.
Oh, he's a black guy with dreads. He must be a hard runner.
Yeah, I think it's because they just see the dreads flying and people just think that he's a big power runner. He's not necessarily. He's not like a speedster. He's more of just kind of an all-around type of guy. But he might be on the roster. But yeah, they can add a Le'Veon Bell. You know what? I was a little stupid here when I did this. We probably should flood out some names for each of these positions. So left tackle, a guy like Jonah Williams in the draft, or anybody in free agency. Actually, at that point, I'm going to go back. This is terrible podcasting, but I would say Jonah Williams or somebody in the draft. I think that's where you draft left tackle. I think Kelvin Beachum, you're not going to really find a better left tackle in the market for the price or whatever. He's just an average left tackle. He's probably middle of the pack of the league. I think with left tackle, you want your next Brickashaw Ferguson. You address that in the draft. Left guard and center, I think, is a little different. I think you should draft in the middle of the, day 2, day 3, find a guard or a center. But I think the depth is solid. I think you'd go after free agency here, and you find a guy like Paradis at center. Or I haven't really looked at the guard market at all in free agency, but I would pay top dollar for the top left guard and the top center. Number wide receiver, we already floated out. AJ Green, any of those receivers. On slot receiver, we did too. And running back, Le'Veon Bell is the guy to target. If they don't get him, a guy like Mark Ingram, Tevin Coleman, a guy like that. So that's a lot that Sam Darnold kind of needs around him. And if they can get him what I said or a version of that, I think the offense is going to look a hell of a lot better, including better coaching. And then on defense, we already talked about edge rusher, guy like Josh Allen maybe a guy in free agency, Wiggles free, Ezekiel Anza, Jadeveon Clowney, DeMarcus Lawrence, D Ford. You could go lower level like Dante Fowler, and then corner, maybe a guy like Ronald Darby to replace Buster Skrine in the slot or something like that. But Kyle, any kind of thoughts on the Jets' needs this offseason, how they should address them? Just kind of any thoughts on that whole rundown right there?
I think left tackle, unless Jonah Williams is the best pick available for us, and I'm going to assume we're going to have the 4th or 5th pick, just when it all shakes out like that. I don't think he is a top 5 player in the draft, and as much as I would like a franchise left tackle, I don't think you should reach for him when there may be better talent, at least at this point. That could change from now, just depending on, what happens on draft night, what happens on the combine, etc. There's a lot of factors that go into play. But right now, I think we're looking at next year the same tackles that we have now. I'm hoping Brandon Shaw will be healthy. I don't know from what I've been reading. This seems like an extensive knee injury to the point where they can't even really classify it. I don't know what that means. So
they probably just don't know yet. They kind of don't know how bad it is yet. I think they don't want to classify it as it is odd that they haven't released really any information on it. He just said pretty bad. So yeah, I could see Brandon Shaw missing some time.
Yeah,
he should be. He'll be back for. I feel like he'll be back for the majority of next season. I don't really see a situation where he goes on the PUP list. He has a full 9 months to recover.
Yeah, and that's the hope, and we'll just be optimistic. We'll just say that we have both our tackles returning this year, and I think those were the strong points of the offensive line, and I think Brandon Shaw is a relatively strong right tackle in the NFL today, and Kelvin Beachum has his moments of, what are you doing, man, to his moments of, hey, that's pretty good, So right now, James Carpenter, he's gone from what it seems. He's old, his contract's running out. He was a good signing, for the most part, but, he's just run his course here. Spencer Long, I could see transitioning the guard. It's his natural position. It's his best position, and I don't think, even though that we have him on this, sort of a 1-year deal from what I understand, and that we have the ability to get out of it, but it might cost us money, and we have a lot of people to re-sign anyway. I don't think the Jets should be taking a lot of dead cap right now. So I think we keep
backup at the very least.
Yeah, he would be an overpaid backup, but there is a chance that he could side in at guard, and he wasn't a horrible guard. He wasn't great, and I think a whole offseason of getting used to it again would definitely help. So right now it looks like we have to address the center and left guard and possibly right guard as well, because Brian Winters is not what Brian Winters was 2 years ago. I don't know what happened to James Carpenter or Brian Winters. I can't tell you. There was a time where they were good. Arguably the best guard tandem in the NFL, which says a lot. So I don't know what they were definitely.
And in some Jets fans' minds, I don't think I would ever say. Compared to the Cowboys, because this would have been 2 years ago, I wouldn't have taken it over.
Yeah, probably. But
no, I agree. No, I agree that they were at least it wasn't a point of need. It was we got James Carpenter and Brian Winters, but I guess it happens to every fan base that they overestimate their players, and I guess nobody could have really seen what ended up unfolding. That they just both turned to crap. I still think there's hope for Brian Winters. And I think that's why you also bring back Spencer Long, is you have another guy there, more depth, in case Winters or the new left guard gets hurt, and he's also can fill in if Winters is stinking up the joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I think that's where we're going to close it off for today. Let's talk, lastly, before we wrap it up, about this Sunday. Very dangerous for the tank. Aaron Rodgers is going to play, though, which is good. But, yeah, I mean, the way the Jets are playing and the way the Packers are playing and the fact that the Packers just got eliminated from the playoffs, I could really easily see the Jets winning this. Their last game at home. I'm excited to watch these last 2 weeks where Sam Darnold gets to go up against the two best quarterbacks in the NFL, or some of the best, I guess, in Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But I hope really exactly for the result we had on Saturday. Sam Darnold plays great. We get in a shootout with Aaron Rodgers, and then Tom Brady the week after that. Young players like Jamal Adams, Chris Herndon, Robbie Anderson, those guys are playing great. But then it's our veterans, our coaching, and just honestly kind of talent that costs us the end. We lose a close game. So that's what I'm hoping for this Sunday. But if I'm being honest, I see the Jets winning this game. Kyle, your thoughts on it?
These fuckers. These motherfuckers. They're going to do it. They're going to ruin the tank, aren't they? They're going to beat Aaron Rodgers. I can see it right now. Sam Darnold, phenomenal game.
Parting gift.
Oh, no, see, this is what they're going to do, because Tom Brady has a partially torn MCL. I'm convinced of it. He's been playing not like Tom Brady, and, things are not looking good for the Patriots right now. I always think they'll find a way to figure it out, but I don't know. I'm doubting them more than ever right now.
Why MCL?
I could see that.
Why did you say MCL? Is he on the injury report for that, or?
No, which is concerning. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time the Patriots have lied to the NFL about not only injuries, but basically everything in general. There's been multiple times where Brady has just fallen down in the middle of the game, just like walking back to the huddle, and they keep saying, oh, yeah, he has a lingering knee issue, it's nothing crazy, but, a lot of these Twitter doctors have been saying that these are signs of, your MCL just being partially torn and it giving out at any moment. Obviously, he isn't a mobile person. I think we know that, but it seems that he's slower than ever, and I don't think it's because of his age. I really do think there's something wrong with his knee. It might not be a partially torn MCL. That's going to be my guess right now, because he still is playing, and he's had knee issues before, so it wouldn't be completely surprising to me. I could see the Jets beating the Packers. I think they will beat the Packers. And then, depending on where New England is with seeding and how desperate they truly are, I could see the Jets winning that game. And my worst fear is that we end up with like the 11th pick, get fucked out of a good player, not be able to trade, and then Todd Bowles is like, hey, look what I did when Sam Darnold was playing well. I beat Aaron Rodgers. I beat Tom Brady. Keep me around. It's a worst-case scenario if this happens. So tank on.
That is the nightmare scenario right there. I don't think that'll happen. But I know what you mean is in the sense that I think we're past that point, honestly. I don't think even if they were to win those last two games that Bowles stays. He's a dead man walking. He knows it. Everybody knows it. Yeah, exactly. We just cheer for what happened Saturday. My prediction, though, is that the Jets are going to win. And look, I'm not going to be that upset if the Jets play really well and Sam Darnold looks even better and carries the team to victory. It'll be like, oh, boo-hoo, we could have gotten a better player or traded down, which is more valuable for the future of the team, and I would rather have that. But at the same time, who's going to complain about our young 21-year-old quarterback lining it up against one of the league's best? So I won't be really disappointed with either result. A win with Josh McCown is probably the only way I'd be mad. Or like a win where Darnold looked really bad, I'd be mad about. Just I want Darnold to play well, yet the Jets lose in these next two games. As far as the score prediction, though, I feel like the Jets are going to win. I could see. I don't think it'll be close. Actually, I think I could see 31-17, something like that. And I don't know how I'd feel about that. Bold prediction, and we didn't air last week's episode. We have so many episodes just lost to the archives, but I had said in my prediction that I predicted that Darnold was going to go have a clean night and throw 3 touchdowns. I wasn't actually too far off. 2 touchdowns, led a 3rd touchdown drive, and no interceptions. So Kyle and I can reminisce about that correct prediction. I don't get many of those. Mm-hmm. I think similar thing. I think he's going to play equally as good as he did against the Texans, which is going to make Jets fans feel good, but at the same time, the Jets are going to win the game, which is going to anger a lot on Jets Twitter. Kyle, your score prediction and bold prediction for the game?
I'm going to say 27-17 Jets, and bold prediction, Robbie Anderson, 2 touchdowns.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us on another episode of the Jet Take. We appreciate you tuning in and listening to another podcast. We know we are not very consistent. We know we struggle with, always consistently having, days for the callers to call in or uploading it or whatnot. But we do appreciate you for listening and us babble about whatever and awkwardly stumble through a caller. If you'd like to follow our show on Twitter, I was about to say Tinder. Our show's not on Tinder, but, Kyle, I don't know about you, but...
I'm on Grindr.
Yeah, I knew you were going to make that joke. You can follow us at the Jet Take on Twitter. Best place to follow us. Our Twitter is probably the most consistent aspect of our show. So you can follow us there. You can follow Kyle at Kyle Fahey NFL on Twitter. You can also follow me at Ben W. Blessington if you want to follow our personal accounts. But make sure you follow at the Jet Take. If you're a Jets fan, you'll enjoy the content there. You can also find our podcast if you'd like to listen to other episodes, specifically the Manish Mehta episode on episode 100. Gives a lot of great insight there. If you want to check that out, just search the Jet Take wherever you listen to podcasts. Probably our best episode, and a lot of the stuff he's saying is still relevant, talking about the future of this team and kind of inside scoop on a lot of stuff. So you can check that out, and also you can find us on turnonthejets.com, the best place to go for Jets content, written, other podcasts, other formats of Jets content. Just check it out there. That'll do it for us. Everybody, I guess our next episode will be after Christmas, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you say. I know snowflake. And yeah, I guess that's where we'll wrap it up. Kyle, any last words?
No.
Can you have something? Can you have something? Literally the past year, at the end of every episode, I always go, Kyle, any last words? And he just goes, no. And then he says some terrible thing after the soundbite. But anyways, good to know that Kyle is just dishing straight knowledge and facts on this podcast. But anyways, that'll do it for us. We'll leave you with the best chant in the National Football League. Go Jets! Merry Christmas! Happy Holidays!
Bring back Chen Gailey.